How many times has this happened to you? You're going about your day, minding your own affairs, and it hits you out of nowhere. A wave of self-criticism and doubt that feels like quicksand. The harder you fight it, the deeper you sink. Or, my personal favorite, you're trying to go to sleep, and your mind decides to take you on a tour of every mistake you've made, every regret, every word misspoken since you were in the 7th grade. It feels less like a walk down memory lane and more like a walk through a minefield, because one wrong step, a song, a smell, boom. Shame, regret, anger. Or maybe it's that dizzying anxiety spiral, a vortex of what ifs that pull you down before you even realize what's happening. Or the feeling of being frozen on a plateau, staring at a mountain of tasks, completely paralyzed because you can't find the perfect place to start. For the longest time, I thought that this was just life. This is how things went, and I had to figure out how to navigate through it. I thought I was the one that was inconsistent or undisciplined, maybe even broken in some capacities. I was fighting these feelings, trying to beat them into submission. And then I realized something that changed everything for me. I wasn't broken. I was just lost in a familiar landscape. I didn't have monsters in my head. I was stuck in a tricky terrain without a map. The critic, the anxiety, the paralysis, they're not character flaws. They're mental terrains that every single one of us has to navigate. And once you know that terrain you're in, you know the exact tool you need to find your way through it. And in this video, you're going to get the map. Before we look at any map, it's important to understand what we're even mapping out here. These mental terrains that we're going to talk about today are built on the solid science of how our brains work, like the incredible work of neuroscientist Dr. Ethan Kross. He's dedicated his career to understanding self-talk and how it affects us. We're making this incredibly practical. So here's the framework. You're going to learn 5 different mental terrains. For each one, you're going to learn 2 simple things: how to instantly recognize the feeling and the specific science-backed tool to get yourself safely through to the other side. We'll cover critical quicksand, the anxiety spiral, the perfectionism plateau, the memory minefield, and the comparison desert. You don't have to memorize them all right now. You just need to get ready to learn to recognize the ground that's beneath your feet. Because the moment you can name it is the moment you can start to navigate it. So let's start with one of the most common and one of the most draining, the critical quicksand. You know you're in the critical quicksand when you hear that voice in your head that says, "You should have known better. Why did you say that?" The bait is perfectionism. The trap snaps shut the moment you believe the voice and start to struggle. And just like real quicksand, the struggle is what pulls you under. The tool to get out isn't struggle, it's a ladder. The ladder is a technique from Dr. Kross's work called self-distance talk. Instead of asking, "Why am I so nervous?" you shift the perspective. You ask, "Why is Sojourner feeling nervous right now?" Say your name. This tiny shift creates psychological distance. It lets you observe your experience like a supportive friend. You're not fighting the quicksand. You're giving yourself a solid ledge to pull yourself onto. Next, we have the anxiety spiral. This one is a vortex. It starts with one single what if. and then it gains momentum until your thoughts are just tumbling over each other. Trying to reason with a spiral is like trying to reason with a tornado. You can't stop it with more thoughts. You have to change the channel entirely. So your tool here is a life preserver, something to hold on to until the storm passes. And that's the 90-second body reset. Intense emotional waves typically peak and pass through the body in about 90 seconds. Your job is to just hold on for the ride. So for 90 seconds, you drop out of your head and into your body. Name 5 things you can see around you. Feel your body weight in the chair. The spiral needs your frantic mental energy to keep spinning. So when you starve it of that attention, it loses its power completely. Let's talk about the perfectionism plateau. We all know it. This is that feeling of being frozen at the base of a massive cliff, just staring up. You can't take the first step because the path isn't perfectly clear. The quest for the perfect conditions becomes the very thing that keeps you paralyzed. The pressure builds, making the plateau feel even higher. You don't need a perfect plan. You need to break the inertia. So your tool here is the first step, an activation ritual. An activation ritual is a tiny, non-negotiable physical action that tells your brain it's time to begin. It could be turning on a lamp, setting a timer for 10 minutes. It's so small, there's no room for perfectionism to argue. You're not committing to climbing the whole mountain. You're just committing to tying your boots. And now we arrive at the most exhausting terrain, the memory minefield. This is where you find yourself walking through the past. And it feels like any step could trigger an explosion of regret or shame. And you're trying to move forward, but you're constantly on high alert. The goal here isn't to erase the past because that's impossible. The goal is to safely navigate through it. Your tool is a mind sweeper, a release ritual. A release ritual is a physical symbolic act that allows your brain to externalize and let go. You write the painful thought on a piece of paper and then you destroy it, crumple it up, tear it, burn it. This physical act is a signal to your subconscious that the job is done. And last, but certainly not any less exhausting, the comparison desert. This is a vast, lonely landscape. You look around and it seems that everyone else has found an oasis, and you're just parched, feeling completely alone and left behind. You're comparing your messy, behind the scenes reality to everyone else's carefully curated highlight reels. It creates a mirage that your journey is somehow wrong. You can't find water by staring at somebody else's oasis. You have to find your own path. Your tool here is the compass, and that compass is a practice called decentering. Decentering is the active choice to shift your focus from their path back to your own. It's the physical act of putting the phone down. It's asking yourself, what is one small thing that I can do right now in this moment that aligns with my values? Your journey is the only one that matters. This compass points inwards. So, we have our 5 terrains and our 5 tools. Now I have a question for you. Which one of these 5 terrains do you find yourself stuck in the most often? Is it the critical quicksand or the memory minefield? For me, memory minefield all day long. Tell me in the comments. Sharing is a powerful step, and I read every single one. You know, so many of us often find ourselves getting stuck in that anxiety spiral or that comparison desert. And that's exactly why next week we're building on this. we'll be talking about how to create a mental immune system. Simple daily habits that make these terrains less sticky. So, if that sounds like something you'd want for yourself at all, just make sure you're subscribed. But for now, just take one of these tools with you. And most importantly, remember, your mind is not a battlefield. It's a landscape. And you are not a soldier. You are a navigator. Your job is to skillfully and compassionately guide yourself through the inner world. It's a practice. And some days will be easy hiking, but some days you'll need your tools. But from now on, you'll never truly be lost again. Have a great week.